The evening sun bled across Lincoln Park, painting Chicago's skyline in amber and gold. But the man sitting alone on the park bench saw none of it. His cashmere coat cost more than most people's monthly rent. His Italian leather shoes were polished to perfection. Yet his eyes were empty, hollow, like windows to a house where no one lived anymore. He sat motionless, staring at nothing. People walked past, joggers and couples holding hands, but no one stopped. In a city of millions, he was invisible. That was exactly how he wanted it. "Excuse me, mister." The voice was small, definitely a child. He didn't move. "Mister?" A tiny shadow fell across his lap. He looked up and found himself staring at a little girl. 6 years old, maybe. Brown hair and messy pigtails. A yellow dress with a grass stain on the hem. She clutched a white envelope against her chest. His instincts kicked in immediately. Eyes swept the park, scanning for threats. Old habits from a life most people couldn't imagine. Nothing. Just a child. "Can you hug me?" she asked. He blinked. "What? Can you hug me? Please? Go away, kid." His voice came out rough. "I don't want to talk to anyone today." Most children would have run. This one didn't move. "I promise it will only be for a little moment," she said softly. "Then you can be sad again." He sighed and looked at her properly. Big brown eyes stared back, filled with something far too old for such a young face. "There are many people here." "Why ask me?" The girl pointed toward the cemetery beyond the park fence. "Because I saw you earlier," she said quietly. "Over there. You put flowers on the ground. You were talking to someone I couldn't see. And you were crying." The world went silent around him. "I wasn't trying to watch," she added quickly. "I was on that bench waiting for my mom. She went to buy cake for my scholarship. I was reading, and I just saw you." She paused. "My mom says the saddest people need hugs the most. And you weren't pretending to be happy. You were really sad. But why do you need a hug?" he heard himself ask. She looked down at her envelope. "I got a scholarship today. A really big one." My mom cried when she read it. A tiny smile crossed her face, then faded. "But at school, when other kids get good news, their moms and dads both hug them. I don't have a dad. He left before I was born." She clutched the envelope tighter. "So I thought, you want a kid but don't have one. I want a dad but don't have one. If you hug me, maybe we can help each other." Something cracked inside his chest. Something frozen solid for 2 years. "How do you know I wanted a child?" His voice was barely a whisper. She pointed toward the cemetery again. "Because you put 2 flowers there, one big one and one small one." He couldn't breathe. "The small one was for your baby, wasn't it?" She had seen everything. The most private moment of his year. The one day he allowed himself to grieve. And somehow, this impossible child understood. 30 minutes earlier, Dominic Blackwood had stood in a different place. Oakwood Cemetery, the oldest burial ground in Chicago, where the wealthy buried their dead beneath marble angels and granite monuments. He knelt out before 2 graves. The larger headstone read, "Isabella Blackwood, beloved wife, 1989 to 2024, forever missed." The smaller one beside it simply said, "Baby Blackwood, forever in our hearts." Dominic placed 2 white roses on the cold ground, one on each grave. His hands trembled slightly, though no one was close enough to see. "I finished painting the room," he whispered. "Soft pink, just like you wanted." The wind rustled through the bare trees. No answer came. "I kept the crib. The one I spent 2 hours choosing even though I knew nothing about cribs." He let out a broken laugh. "The tiny shoes are still in my desk drawer. I can't throw them away." His voice cracked. 2 years, Isabella. 2 years. And I still don't know how to live without you both." 20 meters behind him, a man in a black suit stood watching. Marcus Cole, his most trusted lieutenant, the only person Dominic allowed near him on this day. Marcus's face showed concern, loyalty, grief for his boss's loss, but his eyes told a different story. Cold, calculating, patient. This was the one day each year Dominic allowed himself to cry, the one day the most powerful man in Chicago's underworld let his walls crumble. Marcus watched it all. After 15 minutes, Dominic stood. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. "Take me to the park," he ordered without turning around. "I want to be alone. Now, back in Lincoln Park." Dominic stared at the little girl who had witnessed his most private moment. "You saw everything?" he asked quietly. Lily nodded. "I was sitting on the bench waiting for my mom. I saw you talking to someone I couldn't see. And you were crying." She said it simply, without judgment. "I won't tell anyone," she added quickly. Men crying isn't bad. My mom says that. Dominic didn't know how to respond. He was the most feared man in Chicago. People trembled when they heard his name. Enemies disappeared without a trace. Yet a 6-year-old girl had just seen through him completely. The small grave. Lily continued softly. That was your baby, wasn't it? He could only nod. Words wouldn't come. So you understand, she said. You want to hug your child, but you can't. I want my dad to hug me, but I don't have one. She took a small step closer. We can help each other. Her logic was so simple. So painfully, beautifully simple. No complicated explanations. No hidden motives. Just a child's pure understanding of loss and loneliness. He had built an empire on suspicion. Trust no one. Show no weakness. Never let anyone close. But looking at this little girl with her scholarship letter and her fatherless heart, Dominic couldn't find a single reason to say no. For the first time in 2 years, he opened his arms. Lily ran into his arms like she had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in her mind. Her small body crashed against his chest. Her thin arms wrapped around his neck with surprising strength. She held on tight, as if afraid he might change his mind and push her away. Dominic froze for a moment. His arms hung awkwardly at his sides. When was the last time anyone had hugged him like this? Without fear, without wanting something, without calculating what they could gain. Then slowly, carefully, his arms closed around her. She was so small, so fragile. He could feel her tiny heartbeat against his chest, quick and excited like a bird's. The scent of children's shampoo filled his nose. Something fruity. Strawberry, maybe. His eyes closed. A tear rolled down his cheek. The second one today. In the darkness behind his eyelids, memories flooded back. The tiny shoes in his desk drawer, pink with little white flowers. He had bought them 3 weeks before the accident. Isabella had laughed at him for buying shoes before they even knew if it was a boy or girl. I just know, he had told her. I can feel it. She's a girl. The nursery he had painted himself. Soft pink walls, a white crib by the window, a rocking chair where he imagined sitting at 3 a.m., feeding his daughter while Isabella slept. The dreams he had at night, holding his baby for the first time, teaching her to walk, watching her grow up, all of it gone in one moment, one phone call, one accident that wasn't really an accident at all. Thank you, Lily whispered into his coat. Now I know what it feels like when a dad hugs you. She pulled back and looked up at him. Her smile was pure satisfaction, like she had accomplished something important. See, she said, we helped each other. Dominic couldn't speak. The most feared Mafia boss in Chicago, the man whose name made grown men tremble, had just cried because a 6-year-old girl hugged him. What's your name? Lily asked. Dominic. I'm Lily. Lily Morgan. She stuck out her small hand like a businesswoman closing a deal. Dominic shook it. His large hand swallowed hers completely. Lily pointed at her envelope. This is my scholarship letter. I got into a really good school. My mom cried happy tears this morning. Congratulations, Dominic managed. His voice was still rough. I wish my dad was here to see it. Lily's smile dimmed slightly. But he left before I was born. Mom says he wasn't ready to be a father. Before Dominic could respond, hurried footsteps crunched on the gravel path behind him. Lily! A woman rushed toward them, worry etched across her face. Late 20s. Dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, still wearing hospital scrubs under her jacket. Dominic turned to look at her, and his heart stopped. That face, those eyes, that voice. He knew her. 2 years ago, in a dark alley behind St. Mary's Hospital, this same woman had found him bleeding to death. She had saved his life without knowing who he was. Grace Morgan, Lily's mother. Grace rushed forward and pulled Lily close. What are you doing here? I told you to stay on the bench. I asked this man for a hug, Lily said simply. He was very sad. Mom? Grace looked up, ready to apologize to the stranger her daughter had bothered. Her eyes met Dominic's. She didn't recognize him. How could she? That night, 2 years ago, his face had been covered in blood, twisted in agony, barely conscious. But Dominic recognized her instantly. Those eyes, that voice, the same determined expression. The memory crashed over him like a wave. 2 years ago, the night Isabella and his unborn daughter died. When Dominic received the phone call, something inside him snapped. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He simply grabbed his gun and drove alone to Victor Santos's warehouse. 40 men against one. He didn't care. He wanted blood. He wanted death. His or theirs. It didn't matter. He killed 17 before a bullet tore through his stomach. Somehow, He made it out. Somehow, he drove 3 miles with his intestines threatening to spill out. His car crashed into a dumpster in the alley behind St. Mary's Hospital. He crawled out and collapsed on the wet concrete. Blood pooled around him. The world grew dark. This is it, he thought. I'll see you soon, Isabella. Then a voice cut through the darkness. Oh my God. Footsteps. Someone kneeling beside him. Don't call police, he managed to whisper. The woman didn't hesitate. She didn't ask questions. She didn't run away screaming at the sight of a dying man with bullet wounds. You're not going to die here, she said firmly. I won't allow it. She dragged him inside through the service entrance. He was twice her size, but somehow she managed. She stitched his wounds herself, found blood bags that matched his type, worked for hours while he drifted in and out of consciousness. When Dominic finally woke, she was gone. Only a small note remained on the table beside him. Live. For those who are waiting for you. He had searched for her ever since. 2 years. Countless resources. Nothing. And now here she was, standing in front of him, the mother of the little girl who had just given him his first real moment of peace in 2 years. I'm sorry if my daughter bothered you, Grace said, her tone polite but cautious. She didn't bother me, Dominic replied quietly. She helped me. Grace looked at him strangely. Something flickered in her eyes, a hint of recognition that couldn't quite form into memory. We should go, she said, taking Lily's hand. Thank you for not chasing her away. Goodbye, Mr. Dominic. Lily waved with her free hand. I'll remember our hug. Dominic watched them walk away. The woman who saved his life. The child who gave him a reason to keep living it. The universe had a strange sense of humor. From a black sedan parked across the street, Marcus Cole lowered his binoculars. He pulled out his phone and dialed. We have a situation, he said quietly. The boss has a new weakness. A woman and a child. Marcus Cole sat in the black sedan, phone pressed to his ear. Dominic has a new weakness, he said. A woman and a child. On the other end, Victor Santos laughed. Are you certain? He hasn't trusted anyone since his wife died. I've watched him for 8 years. Marcus's eyes followed Grace and Lily as they disappeared around the corner. Today he cried because a 6-year-old girl hugged him. Silence on the line. Interesting, Victor finally said. Marcus smiled. A cold, patient smile that had taken 20 years to perfect. 20 years ago, Marcus had a different name. Marcus Rinaldi. Son of Victor Rinaldi, the most powerful mafia boss Chicago had ever seen, until the Blackwoods came. He was 22 when it happened, standing in his father's office, watching through a crack in the closet door where his father had shoved him moments before. Hide, his father had ordered. Whatever happens, don't make a sound. Then Dominic's father walked in with 6 men. Marcus watched his father beg, watched him fall to his knees, watched the bullet enter his skull, watched his blood spread across the marble floor. He didn't make a sound. Not then. Not when they left. Not when he finally crawled out and held his father's cold body. But inside, something turned to ice. He changed his name, changed his face, spent 10 years becoming someone new, someone trustworthy, someone useful. 10 years ago, Marcus made his move. He staged an ambush, hired men to attack Dominic in a warehouse district. Then he appeared at exactly the right moment. Get down, he screamed, shoving Dominic aside. The bullets flew. Marcus took one in the shoulder. Real blood, real pain, all part of the plan. He lay on the ground, gasping, as Dominic knelt beside him. You saved my life, Dominic said. That's what brothers do, Marcus replied through gritted teeth. From that day forward, he became Dominic's shadow, his most trusted man, his only confidant. 2 years ago, Marcus finally tasted his first victory. The truck that hit Isabella's car didn't lose control by accident. The driver was Marcus's man. The route was carefully planned. The timing was perfect. Isabella died on impact. The baby never took her first breath. Marcus stood beside Dominic at the funeral. His face showed grief. His hand squeezed Dominic's shoulder in comfort. Inside, he was smiling. But Dominic didn't break. He became colder, harder, more ruthless than ever. The pain only made him stronger. That wasn't the plan. Last time, I killed his wife and child, Marcus said into the phone. He survived, became impossible to reach. And this time? Victor asked. Marcus raised his camera and snapped a photo of the direction Grace and Lily had walked. This time, I'll let him hope first. Let him love again. Let him believe he can have a second chance. He sent the photo. Then I'll rip it away while he watches. He won't recover from that. Victor's laughter crackled through the speaker. Find everything about them. But don't act yet. Wait until he's attached. Marcus ended the call and started the engine. Patience. 20 years of patience. He could wait a little longer. The next day, Dominic arrived at Lincoln Park earlier than usual. He told himself it was just to make sure the woman who saved his life was safe, that he was simply repaying a debt by keeping an eye on her from a distance. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wanted to see the little girl with the strange questions again. Dominic sat on the same bench from yesterday, watching the entrance. An hour passed. Then another. He was about to leave when a familiar yellow dress appeared on the path. Lily walked alone, carrying a book bag almost as big as she was. She settled onto a bench across from him, pulled out a notebook, and started writing. She didn't notice him at first, too focused on her work. Dominic watched her struggle with something on the page. Her brow furrowed. Her lips moved silently as she counted on her fingers. Finally, she looked up. Her face exploded into a smile. "Mr. Dominic!" She jumped off the bench and ran toward him. "You came back." "I was just passing through," he said. Lily giggled. "Passing through, but you're sitting down?" He had no answer for that. She climbed onto the bench beside him, completely unafraid, like they were old friends. "Where's your mother?" Dominic asked, glancing around. "Working the afternoon shift at the hospital." Lily pulled out her notebook. "Mrs. Chen is supposed to watch me, but her back hurts today, so I came to the park to read. It's safe here. You're alone? I know who's good and who's bad," she said matter-of-factly. "Mom taught me." Dominic felt something twist in his chest. A 6-year-old, alone in a park, trusting the world not to hurt her. Lily sighed loudly and stared at her notebook. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Math." She made a face like she'd tasted something sour. "It's so hard. Numbers don't have stories like books do." Dominic looked at the page. Fractions. Simple ones, but clearly not simple to her. "What if I turned it into a story?" he offered. Lily looked up, curious. "Imagine you have a pizza," he said, "cut into 4 pieces. If you eat 1 piece, how much is left? 3 pieces. Right, that's 3/4. 3 out of 4 pieces. Her eyes widened. "Oh, so the bottom number is how many pieces total, and the top is how many you have?" "Exactly." She grinned and scribbled in her notebook. Math is less mean when it's about pizza. For the next 20 minutes, they worked through her homework together. Dominic turned every problem into food. Pizza, cake, cookies. Lily finished the last problem and slammed her pencil down triumphantly. "You're so smart," she declared. "What's your job?" "I run a company." "What kind of company?" Dominic hesitated. "A complicated one." Lily nodded sagely. Adults always say complicated when they don't want to explain something. He almost laughed. Almost. The corners of his mouth twitched upward. For the first time in 2 years, Dominic Blackwood nearly smiled. Then footsteps approached. Fast. Angry. "Lily!" Grace marched toward them, still in her hospital scrubs. Her expression was not friendly. Grace moved fast. She pulled Lily behind her back in one swift motion, placing herself between her daughter and the stranger. "Lily, what did I tell you about talking to strangers?" "But Mr. Dominic isn't a stranger," Lily protested. "He hugged me yesterday." Grace's eyes snapped to Dominic. The warmth from their first meeting was gone. Now he saw something else. The fierce, cold stare of a mother protecting her child. "I don't know who you are," she said evenly, "but you shouldn't be sitting with my daughter." Dominic stood slowly. He kept his hands visible, his posture non-threatening. He had faced down armed enemies without flinching, but this woman's glare made him careful. "I understand your concern," he said quietly. She reminds me of someone." Grace didn't soften. "Your child?" "My wife and daughter." The words came out heavier than he intended. "They passed away 2 years ago. Yesterday was the anniversary." Something flickered in Grace's eyes. The sharp edge dulled slightly, but only slightly. "I'm sorry for your loss," she said, "but that doesn't explain why you're here today. With my daughter. Alone." Lily tugged her mother's hand. "Mom, he helped me with math. He turned fractions into pizza." Grace looked down at her daughter, then back at Dominic. Suspicion still clouded her features, but curiosity crept in too. "Who are you? Really?" Dominic reached into his coat pocket. Grace tensed. He moved slowly, pulling out a business card. "Dominic Blackwood," he said, handing it to her. "I run a consulting firm. If you need to verify who I am, that's my number. You can check." Grace studied the card. Blackwood Consulting, an address downtown, a phone number. It was real. His cover was solid. Years of careful planning made sure of that. "Mom, Lily pulled her hand again. He's not bad. He's just sad. Like you said, sad people need hugs the most. Grace closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, exhaustion had replaced some of the hostility. You always remember the wrong things I say at the wrong times, she muttered to Lily. She looked at Dominic one more time, measuring him, deciding. I'll check this. She held up the card. If you are who you say you are, maybe Lily can talk to you. Maybe. She took Lily's hand and turned to leave. Goodbye, Mr. Dominic. Lily called over her shoulder. Will you come back tomorrow? Grace pulled her along before he could answer. But at the edge of the path, Grace stopped. She looked back at him, her expression unreadable. I'm trusting my daughter's instincts, she said quietly. Don't make me regret it. Then they were gone. Dominic watched them disappear around the bend. The woman who saved his life. The child who had somehow cracked through walls he'd spent 2 years building. He made a decision. He would protect them. From a distance, as repayment for what Grace had done. That was all. Nothing more. Dominic returned to his office and made a call. Not to Marcus. To Tony, another trusted man. Find everything about Grace Morgan. Nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. Be discreet. Don't disturb her. Got it, boss. 3 hours later, Tony knocked on his door with a folder. Grace Morgan, 28 years old, single mother, 1 daughter, Lily, age 6. Dominic opened the folder. Grace's photo stared back at him. The same tired eyes, the same determined jaw. Works night shifts mostly. Sometimes day shifts when they need extra hands. Lives in a small apartment on the south side, building called Riverside. Unit 4B, Tony continued reading. Husband left before the kid was born. Never came back. No family support. She's been raising the girl alone. Financial situation? Struggling. But she's never accepted charity. Hospital offered her emergency funds twice. She refused both times. Dominic nodded slowly. That sounded like her. The woman who saved a dying stranger and left only a note. That's enough, he said. Keep this between us. Tony left. Dominic stared at the file for a long time. Across town, Marcus Cole received his own report. Grace Morgan, the voice on the phone said. Nurse. Single. 1 daughter. Address? Apartment 4B. Riverside Building. South Side. Marcus smiled. Security? None. Old building. Broken locks. Easy access. He typed a message to Victor Santos. No protection. Vulnerable target. Victor's reply came quickly. Wait. Let him get closer. When he loves them, we strike. Marcus put down the phone. Patience. He had waited 20 years. A few more weeks meant nothing. That night, Dominic sat alone in his office. The city lights glittered beyond his window. Chicago stretched out beneath him like a kingdom. His kingdom, built on blood and fear and power, yet none of it filled the emptiness inside. He opened his desk drawer. The tiny pink shoes lay there, untouched for months. He used to avoid looking at them. The pain was too sharp. Tonight, he picked them up. Soft fabric, delicate stitching, white flowers on pink leather. He waited for the familiar ache, the crushing weight of loss. It came, but softer, bearable. Lily's voice echoed in his mind. See, we helped each other. He set the shoes down and pulled out something else. A crumpled note, yellowed with age. Live, for those who are waiting for you. Grace had written this 2 years ago. He had read it 1,000 times without understanding. Who was waiting for him? Isabella was dead. His daughter never drew breath. His parents were gone. He had no siblings, no real friends. No one was waiting. But now, a strange thought entered his mind. Maybe someone would be waiting. Someday, if he let them. Dominic made a decision. He would return to the park tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Not because he owed Grace, because for the first time in 2 years, he had a reason to look forward to tomorrow. A week passed, then another. Every afternoon, Dominic came to Lincoln Park. Same bench, same time, waiting. And every afternoon, Lily appeared with her book bag and her endless stories. Grace had checked the business card. Blackwood Consulting existed. A legitimate company with real offices and real employees. She found no red flags, no criminal records, no warnings. Slowly, her guard lowered. She still watched them from a distance when she arrived early, but the coldness in her eyes had thawed. Sometimes, she even nodded at Dominic before taking Lily home. Lily, of course, noticed none of her mother's caution. To her, Mr. Dom was already family. Today, Tommy pushed me at recess, she reported one afternoon, but I didn't cry. I told him pushing is for people who can't use words. Smart answer, Dominic said. My teacher said the same thing. Lily beamed. She told him everything. About her favorite books. About the mean girl who pulled her hair. About the lunch lady who always gave her extra carrots. Dominic listened to it all. He didn't know why. He had run an empire built on silence and secrets. Yet here he was, memorizing the names of 6-year-olds who couldn't share crayons. Today, Lily arrived with something special. I made this for you, she announced, pulling a folded paper from her bag. Dominic took it carefully, opened it. A drawing, crayon on construction paper. 3 figures stood beneath a large tree. A woman with brown hair, a small girl in yellow, and a tall man in a black coat. Above them, in wobbly letters, my team. Mom says a team is people who help each other when things are hard, Lily explained. Mom is on my team, and now you're on my team too. Dominic stared at the drawing. His hands trembled slightly. You drew me? See? Lily pointed proudly. You're the tallest. Footsteps approached. Grace arrived, slightly out of breath from rushing. She saw the drawing in Dominic's hands. Her expression shifted. Lily gets attached quickly, she said quietly. That can hurt her. Dominic met her eyes. If you disappear one day, Grace continued, she'll think it's her fault. That's how children work. I understand. His voice was steady. I don't plan to disappear. But you should know, he added. My life is complicated. Grace almost smiled. Almost. Whose isn't? Adults talk too much. Lily interrupted, tugging Dominic's sleeve. Mr. Dom, do you accept being on my team or not? Dominic looked at the drawing one more time. The 3 figures, the big tree, the crooked letters spelling out something he hadn't felt in years. Belonging. He folded the paper carefully and tucked it into his inner coat pocket, right over his heart. I'm on your team, he said. Lily squealed with joy and threw her arms around his leg. Grace watched them. The suspicion was gone now, but something else had taken its place. Curiosity. Wonder. Who was this man, really? And why did he look at her daughter like she was the most precious thing in the world? The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Lincoln Academy, the most prestigious private school in Chicago. The place where senators' children learned to read and CEOs' daughters made their first friends. Grace opened it with trembling hands. Dear Miss Morgan, we are pleased to inform you that Lily Morgan has been awarded a full tuition scholarship. She read the words 3 times. Full tuition. Her daughter, her brilliant little girl, had earned a spot among Chicago's elite. Then she kept reading. Uniforms, $450. Textbooks and supplies, $600. Activity fees, $400. Transportation, $800 annually. Meal plan, $750. Total additional costs, $3,000. Grace sat at the kitchen table that night, staring at numbers that refused to add up. Bank account, $847. Rent due next month, $750. She was already behind on electricity. The car needed new brakes. Lily's winter coat was too small. The tears came before she could stop them. They fell onto the paper, smudging the ink. Mommy? Grace looked up. Lily stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Why are you crying? Grace wiped her face quickly. It's nothing, sweetheart. Mommy's just tired. Lily walked closer. Her eyes found the letter on the table. Is this about the new school? She asked quietly. About the money? Grace couldn't lie to her. Not to those knowing eyes. The school costs more than Mommy has right now. Lily climbed into her lap. I don't need to go to that school. My school now is fine. Grace held her tight. You deserve the best, baby. You earned this. But you're crying. I'll figure it out. I always do. The next afternoon, Lily arrived at the park quieter than usual. No stories about Tommy, no complaints about math. She sat on the bench and stared at her shoes. Dominic noticed immediately. What's wrong? Lily didn't answer at first. Then, slowly, it spilled out. The letter, the school, the money. Her mother crying at the kitchen table. I told Mom I don't need to go, Lily said, but she cried more when I said that. Something twisted in Dominic's chest. A feeling he hadn't experienced in years. The urge to fix something, to protect someone. He could solve this problem with one phone call. $3,000 was nothing to him. Less than nothing. But Grace's words echoed in his mind. I don't accept charity. If I wanted to help, Dominic said carefully, would your mom be angry? Lily thought about it. Mom says teams help each other, but she also says we don't ask strangers for money. Am I still a stranger? Lily shook her head firmly. You're on the team. Dominic looked at this little girl who trusted him completely, who drew him into her family with crayons and construction paper. He would help, but not with charity. He would find another way, a way Grace couldn't refuse. That night, he stood outside apartment 4B in the Riverside building, carrying a truth he had hidden for 2 years. Grace opened the door and froze. "How do you know where I live?" Dominic stood in the dim hallway, hands in his coat pockets. "I'm sorry. I have sources. But I came for an important reason." Before Grace could respond, small footsteps thundered across the apartment. "Mr. Dom." Lily crashed into his legs. "You came to visit me." Grace couldn't send him away now. Not with Lily beaming up at him like he'd brought Christmas early. "Lily, go get that new drawing you made," Grace said. "The one with the butterflies." "Okay." Lily ran off to her room. Grace turned back to Dominic, her arms crossed. "You have 2 minutes." "I know about the scholarship," he said quickly. "I know about the costs, and I know you don't accept charity. Then why are you here?" "Because this isn't charity." He took a breath. "It's repaying a debt. You saved my life 2 years ago." Grace stared at him. "What are you talking about?" "The alley behind St. Mary's Hospital. A man covered in blood, bullet wounds. You found him taking out the trash." The color drained from her face. "You dragged him inside," Dominic continued. "You stitched him up yourself. Didn't call the police. Didn't ask questions." Grace's hand found the doorframe for support. "You said something to him. You're not going to die here. I won't allow it." Her lips parted. No sound came out. "When he woke up, you were gone. You left only a note." Dominic pulled a crumpled paper from his pocket. Yellowed, worn at the edges. "Live, for those who are waiting for you." Grace remembered that night. The rain, the blood, the stranger who should have died but didn't. She never saw his face clearly. Too much blood, too much darkness. "That was you?" Dominic nodded. "I've been searching for you for 2 years. To say thank you." Grace sank into the nearest chair. Her hands trembled. "I didn't know who you were," she whispered. "I just did what I had to do." "Exactly." Dominic knelt in front of her. "You saved a stranger without asking anything in return. Let me do the same." "Not charity. Debt." Lily burst back into the room, waving her butterfly drawing. "Look, Mr. Dom. This one has purple wings." She stopped, looking between the 2 adults. "Why do you both look weird?" Grace laughed. A shaky, watery sound. She looked at her daughter, this brilliant, beautiful child who deserved every opportunity. Then she looked at Dominic, the man she'd saved without knowing, the man who'd returned to save them back. "It's a loan," she said finally. "I'll pay back every cent." Dominic nodded. "Whatever you want." Lily tugged his sleeve. "Does this mean you're staying for dinner?" Grace and Dominic exchanged a glance. "If your mom says it's okay," he said. Grace sighed. But for the first time, she smiled at him. "I guess team members can stay for dinner." 2 months passed like a dream. Every morning, Dominic drove Lily to Lincoln Academy. The black sedan looked out of place among the minivans and SUVs, but Lily didn't care. She waved goodbye from the school steps like a princess departing her carriage. "Is that your father?" her teacher asked once. "He's on my team," Lily replied. Dominic didn't correct her. He just smiled. Every afternoon, they met at the park. Homework first, then stories, then ice cream if Lily finished her math without complaining. Grace joined them sometimes. She'd bring coffee and sit on the bench, watching her daughter laugh at something Dominic said. The suspicion in her eyes had faded completely. Something warmer had taken its place. One rainy night, Grace called him. "Mrs. Chen is sick. I have a double shift. I can't find anyone else. Could you?" Dominic was at her apartment in 15 minutes. He read Lily 3 books, then a 4th when she begged, then a 5th because she claimed the last one ended too sadly. She fell asleep mid-sentence, her small hand clutching his sleeve. Dominic sat beside her bed all night, watching her breathe, listening to the rain. When Grace came home at dawn, she found them both asleep. Lily in her bed, Dominic in the chair beside her, still holding her hand. She didn't wake him. She just draped a blanket over his shoulders and went to make coffee. At school, Lily wrote an essay. My hero is Mr. Dom. He is sad sometimes, but he still helps other people. He's not my dad, but he hugs me like a dad. He makes math into pizza and reads me books when it rains. I think heroes don't have to wear capes. Sometimes they just show up." Dominic read it in the park that afternoon. His eyes burned, but he didn't cry. "You wrote this about me?" Lily nodded. "Teacher said write about someone who helps you be brave. You help me be brave." At Blackwood headquarters, Marcus noticed the change. His boss canceled meetings, stared out windows, left early. "Boss, you okay?" Marcus asked, voice thick with false concern. "I'm fine." Dominic's hand drifted to his chest, to the pocket where he kept Lily's drawing. Marcus saw it, noted it, filed it away. That night, he met Victor Santos in an abandoned warehouse. "It's time," Marcus said. "He loves them." Victor smiled. "The plan? Kidnap the mother and child, lure Dominic to us, end the Blackwood bloodline once and for all." Victor nodded slowly. She picked at her shoelace. "If you stop being sad one day, will you still need me?" The question hit him like a bullet. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Then again. Then a third time. Something was wrong. 2 a.m. Grace left for her night shift. Lily stayed with Mrs. Chen, sleeping peacefully in the small bedroom. The pounding on the door came at 2:47. Mrs. Chen shuffled to answer it, thinking Grace had forgotten something. 3 masked men burst through. Lily woke to screaming. Mrs. Chen's voice, high and terrified. Then silence. Footsteps, heavy, fast. Coming toward her room, the door crashed open. Lily tried to scream, but a gloved hand clamped over her mouth. A cloth pressed against her nose. Sweet chemical smell. "Got her," a voice said. "Package for Dominic Blackwood." The world went black. At St. Mary's Hospital, Grace's phone buzzed. Unknown number. A video message. She opened it and her heart stopped. Lily, bound to a chair, unconscious. A dark room with concrete walls. A text followed. "Call the police and she dies." Grace couldn't breathe. Her hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the phone. She dialed the only number that came to mind. Dominic answered on the first ring. "Grace, they took her." Her voice cracked. "Dominic, they took Lily." His blood turned to ice. "Where are you?" "Going home. Mrs. Chen isn't answering." "Dominic, please, I'm coming." He reached the apartment before her. The door hung off its hinges. Furniture overturned. Glass shattered on the floor. Mrs. Chen lay unconscious near the kitchen, breathing but unresponsive. A note sat on the table. Clean white paper, typed words. "Dominic Blackwood, Warehouse 7, South Harbor, come alone, or they both die." Grace arrived seconds later. She saw the destruction, saw Mrs. Chen, saw the note. Her phone was already in her hand, typing his name into the search bar. Dominic Blackwood. The results loaded. News articles, photos, words that shattered everything. Chicago's most powerful crime boss. Blackwood Empire controls Southside, suspected in multiple disappearances. Grace turned to face him. Her eyes burned with fury and betrayal. "Your Mafia?" Dominic didn't flinch. "Yes, my daughter was kidnapped because of you." "Yes." Grace crossed the room in 3 steps and slapped him. Hard. The sound echoed off the walls. Dominic didn't move, didn't defend himself. He deserved it. "I trusted you," Grace whispered. "I let you into our lives, into her life. I know. She loved you. I know." His voice broke on the word. Grace grabbed his collar. Tears streamed down her face. "She's 6 years old. She draws pictures of butterflies. She's afraid of thunder. And now she's alone in the dark because of you." Dominic met her eyes. "I will bring her back. I swear on my life. Your life means nothing to me. Then I swear on hers, on the daughter I never got to hold. I will bring Lily home or die trying." Grace released him, stepped back. Her whole body trembled. "If anything happens to her," she said quietly, "I will kill you myself." Dominic's phone buzzed. "Marcus. Boss, I know where they are. Let me come with you." Dominic stared at Marcus's message. "I know where they are. Let me come with you." Something felt wrong. How did Marcus know the location already? The note had just been found. No one had time to investigate. Unless Marcus already knew. Dominic didn't reply. Instead, he called Tony. "I need you to check someone. Marcus Cole. Everything about him. His past. His real identity. Now." Tony's voice tensed. "Boss, what's going on?" "I don't know yet. Just do it. Fast." Miles away, in a cold warehouse, Lily opened her eyes. Darkness. Her wrists burned from the rope binding them. Her head throbbed from the chemicals. "Don't cry." Mom's voice echoed in her memory. "When you're scared, observe." Lily forced herself to breathe slowly, to listen. Footsteps outside, voices, men talking. One voice stood out. Familiar. She had heard it before. The door creaked open. Light spilled in. A man walked toward her. Tall, dark suit. The same man who always stood in the shadows, watching Mr. Dom from a distance. "Hello, little one." Marcus crouched in front of her. "Don't be afraid. Your Mr. Dominic will come soon." Lily's heart pounded, but she kept her face still. "I know you," she said quietly. "You always watch Mr. Dom. You stand far away." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Smart girl." "Too smart," he added, almost to himself. "Pity." He stood and walked out, leaving her alone in the darkness again. Back at Grace's apartment, Dominic grabbed his coat. Grace blocked the door. "I'm coming with you." "No, it's too dangerous. My daughter is there." Her voice shook with rage. "You don't get to tell me what to do." Dominic saw the fire in her eyes, the same fire from that night in the alley, the woman who refused to let a stranger die. Before he could argue, his phone rang. "Tony, boss, you need to hear this. Talk." Marcus Cole isn't his real name. Tony's voice was grim. His birth name was Marcus Rinaldi. Dominic's blood froze. Rinaldi, as in Victor Rinaldi? His son. Victor Rinaldi had a kid nobody knew about. 20 years ago, when your father took down the Rinaldi family, the son disappeared, changed his name, changed his face. The room spun. "He's been with me for 8 years, Dominic whispered. "He planned it all, boss. The ambush 10 years ago where he saved you? We found records. He staged it, hired the shooters himself." Grace watched Dominic's face turn to stone. "And Isabella?" Dominic's voice was barely audible. A pause on the line. "The truck driver who hit her car. We traced the payments. They lead back to an offshore account. The same account Marcus uses." Dominic couldn't breathe. 8 years. 8 years of trust, of brotherhood, of believing Marcus would die for him. All a lie. "He killed Isabella," Dominic said. The words came out flat. "Dead. He killed my daughter." Grace stepped closer. "Dominic." He looked at her with eyes that had turned to ice. "And now he has Lily." Tony kept talking. Each word was a knife. The truck driver was a hired man, professional. He'd been following Isabella for 3 days, waiting for the perfect moment. Dominic gripped the phone so hard the screen cracked. After the crash, he disappeared. "We traced the payment to an offshore account in the Caymans. The same account Marcus uses for personal transactions." "There's more, boss." Tony hesitated. "The route Isabella took that day. Her usual road was blocked by construction. She had to detour through Miller Street. The construction permit was fake, filed by a shell company owned by Victor Santos. Every detail, every moment, planned." "Marcus stood next to me at the funeral," Dominic whispered. "He held my shoulder while I cried. He's been waiting 8 years for this, and we never knew." Dominic's legs gave out. He collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. 2 years. 2 years of grief. 2 years of nightmares. 2 years of visiting that cemetery and talking to ghosts. And the killer had been beside him the entire time, watching, waiting, enjoying every moment of his suffering. Grace watched the most powerful man in Chicago crumble. "Dominic." She stepped closer. "Are you okay?" He looked up. His eyes were red, raw. The mask of the untouchable crime lord had shattered completely. "He killed Isabella. He killed my baby girl." His voice broke. "And now he has Lily." Grace understood then. This wasn't just a rescue mission. This was the war of a man who had lost everything, who had finally discovered the face of his true enemy, who had nothing left to lose. Dominic stood. Something shifted in his expression. The grief hardened into something colder, something lethal. He made calls, rapid-fire orders. "Tony, gather everyone you trust, only people you'd die for. Meet at the South Harbor. Tell no one else. We're going to war tonight. And we're ending this." Grace grabbed his arm. "I'm coming. You can't fight, but I can save lives." Her grip tightened. "If Lily is hurt, if you're hurt, you need me there. I'm a nurse. I've stitched wounds in dark alleys. Remember?" He looked at her. The same fierce determination, the same fire. "You're not dying here. I won't allow it." She had said those words once before, in a different alley, a different night. Dominic took her hand. "Stay behind the line. Don't come out until it's over. And if you die, take Lily far away. Start a new life. Forget I ever existed." Grace squeezed his hand hard. "You won't die. I already told you." Her voice was steel. "I don't allow it." A convoy of black vehicles rolled through Chicago's empty streets. 30 loyal men, loaded weapons, one destination, South Harbor, Warehouse 7. The longest night had begun. In the darkness of that warehouse, Lily sat alone. She closed her eyes and whispered into the silence. "Mr. Dom, I'm here. Please come." 11 p.m. South Harbor. The warehouse district lay silent under a moonless sky. Shipping containers stacked like giant coffins. The smell of rust and salt water hung in the air. Victor Santos had 40 men waiting, positioned on rooftops, behind containers. Inside the warehouse, guns loaded. Ready. Dominic arrived with 30, his most loyal. Men who would die for him without question. It wouldn't be enough, but it didn't matter. Tonight, someone would die. Dominic just needed to make sure it wasn't Lily. Inside Warehouse 7, Lily heard the first gunshot, then another, then a storm of them. She squeezed her eyes shut. Her bound hands trembled. Please, Mr. Dom. Please come. The door burst open. Marcus grabbed her arm and yanked her to her feet. Time to see your hero, he said. Outside, chaos erupted. Bullets flew from every direction. Dominic's men took cover behind shipping containers, returning fire. Bodies fell on both sides. Dominic moved forward, always forward. A bullet grazed his arm. He didn't stop. Another hit his shoulder. He kept moving. Tony flanked him, providing cover. Grace stayed behind a container, medical bag ready, watching the horror unfold. Boss, you're bleeding, Tony shouted. I know. Dominic kicked open the warehouse door. Inside, Victor Santos waited. The old crime lord sat on a metal chair like a throne, white suit, silver hair, a smile that belonged on a corpse. Dominic Blackwood. Victor spread his arms. Finally, we meet face to face. Where is she? Dominic's gun aimed at Victor's head. The girl? Victor laughed. Ask the man who's been standing beside you for 8 years. Gunfire echoed behind them. Dominic's men fought Victor's guards at the entrance. Dominic didn't waver. Where is she? Victor pulled a pistol. Fired. The bullet hit Dominic's already wounded shoulder. He stumbled but didn't fall. Dominic fired back. Hit Victor's leg. The old man screamed and collapsed from his chair. More shots. More chaos. Bodies hitting concrete. Dominic advanced toward Victor, ready to end it. Then he heard it, a small whimper, behind him. He spun around. Marcus stood in the doorway, one arm wrapped around Lily's throat. The other pressed a gun to her temple. Hello, boss. Marcus smiled. Or should I say, enemy? Lily's eyes were wide with terror. Tears streamed down her face. A piece of tape covered her mouth. But she was alive. Dominic's gun swung toward Marcus, then stopped. He couldn't shoot, not without risking Lily. Drop it, Marcus ordered. Dominic's weapon clattered to the floor. Blood dripped from his shoulder. His vision blurred at the edges. His body screamed for rest, but he stayed standing. He had to. Good boy. Marcus stepped closer, dragging Lily with him. Before you die, I want you to know everything. Marcus held Lily like a shield. His gun never wavered from Dominic's chest. 20 years. His voice echoed through the warehouse. 20 years I've waited for this moment. Dominic stood motionless. Blood dripped from his shoulder onto the concrete floor. You don't remember, do you? Marcus laughed bitterly. Why would you? You were just a boy then. But I remember everything. He pulled Lily tighter. She whimpered against the tape. Your father walked into my home. I was 22, hiding in a closet because my father told me to stay quiet. Marcus's eyes burned with old hatred. I watched through the crack in the door. Watched your father put a bullet in my father's head. Watched his blood spread across the marble floor. Dominic said nothing. His fists clenched. I swore that day I would destroy everything the Blackwoods ever loved. I changed my name, changed my face, spent 10 years becoming someone you would trust. Marcus smiled. A twisted, proud smile. The ambush 10 years ago? I staged it. Hired the shooters myself. I took a real bullet in the shoulder just to make you believe I'd die for you. And it worked. He laughed. You called me brother. You trusted me with everything. Dominic's voice came out raw. Isabella. Yes. Your beautiful wife. Marcus's smile widened. The truck didn't lose control. Dominic. I made sure it hit exactly where she was sitting. Driver's side door. Maximum impact. Every word was a blade. I wanted her dead. And that baby inside her? I wanted it dead too. I wanted you to feel what I felt watching my father die. Dominic trembled. Not from weakness. From rage. Why not just kill me? He whispered. Because quick death isn't painful enough. Marcus pressed the gun harder against Lily's head. I wanted you to suffer. To lose everything slowly. To know what it means to watch people you love disappear. He gestured at Lily. Then you found this one. Hope. A second chance. A little girl who called you her hero. Marcus's finger tightened on the trigger. So I'll kill her in front of you, just like your father killed mine in front of me. Lily's tears soaked the tape over her mouth, but her eyes found Dominic's. Through the fear, something else shone there. Trust. Mr. Dom. Her muffled voice pushed through. I'm not scared. Dominic stepped forward. Kill me. Let her go. She's innocent. Innocent? Marcus scoffed. You love her. That makes her guilty enough. Behind a stack of crates, hidden in shadow, Grace crouched low. She had slipped in through a side entrance, heard everything, saw her daughter's terrified face, saw Dominic bleeding, weakening, offering his life for Lily's. Grace made her decision. Marcus shifted his aim from Lily to Dominic's head. Goodbye, Blackwood. His finger squeezed the trigger. A scream tore through the warehouse. No! Grace burst from the shadows. Everything happened in a heartbeat. Marcus pulled the trigger. Grace slammed into Dominic from the side, shoving him out of the bullet's path. The shot meant for his head tore through her shoulder instead. She crumpled to the ground. Mommy! Lily's scream ripped through the warehouse. Raw. Primal. A child watching her world shatter. Marcus froze, just for a second. His eyes darted to Grace's fallen body. 1 second was enough. Dominic's hand shot to his ankle, the backup pistol he always carried. Small, hidden, deadly. He fired. The bullet hit Marcus's gun hand. Bone shattered. Metal clattered across concrete. Marcus released Lily and stumbled backward, clutching his ruined hand. Blood poured between his fingers. Lily ripped the tape from her mouth and ran. Not toward Dominic, toward her mother. Mommy! Mommy, wake up! Please don't die! Grace lay on the cold floor. Blood spread beneath her, dark and warm, but her eyes were open, focused on her daughter's face. I'm okay, baby. Her voice was weak but steady. Mommy's okay. Dominic stood over Marcus, gun aimed at his head. Every fiber of his being screamed to pull the trigger, to end the man who killed Isabella, who murdered his unborn daughter, who nearly destroyed everything again. Do it. Marcus laughed through the pain. Pull the trigger. Prove you're just like your father. Dominic's finger tightened. One squeeze, one bullet. Justice. Then he heard Lily's voice behind him. Mr. Dom. He turned slightly. Lily knelt beside her mother, tears streaming down her face. But she was looking at him. Her words from that first day echoed in his mind. He's not bad. He's just sad. Dominic looked at Marcus, at the hatred burning in his enemy's eyes, at the bloody hand, at the pathetic figure crumpled on the ground. He lowered the gun. No, his voice was ice. I'm not my father. Marcus's smile faltered. You'll live, Dominic continued, in a cell, alone, knowing you failed, knowing I won, knowing that every day you rot in prison, I'll be living the life you tried to destroy. Tony and his men burst through the door. They grabbed Marcus, forced him to the ground, cuffed his wrists. Dominic didn't watch. He was already running to Grace. Grace. He dropped beside her, pressing his hand against her wound. Stay with me. Ambulance is coming. Blood seeped through his fingers. Too much blood. Grace grabbed his hand weakly. Lily, she's safe. Because of you. Grace smiled. A tired, relieved smile. Lily crawled between them, one small hand clutching her mother's, the other finding Dominic's. 3 people on a cold warehouse floor. Blood and tears and concrete, but their hands were warm. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Dominic held on tight. He wasn't letting go. 6 a.m. St. Mary's Hospital. The same hospital where Grace had saved Dominic's life 2 years ago. The same hallways. The same fluorescent lights. This time, she was the patient. The surgery took 4 hours. The bullet had lodged near her collarbone. Dangerous, but not fatal. The doctors removed it cleanly. She would live. Lily sat in the waiting room, knees pulled to her chest. Her eyes were red and swollen. She hadn't stopped crying since the ambulance arrived. Dominic sat beside her. His arm was bandaged, his shoulder stitched. The doctors had wanted to keep him overnight. He refused. Lily leaned her head against his arm. Mr. Dom, is Mommy going to be okay? Your mom is very strong. He wrapped his good arm around her. Just like you. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question he'd been dreading. Are you a bad person? Dominic didn't lie to her. He couldn't. I've done bad things, he said slowly. Things I'm not proud of. But you saved me. Your mom saved us both. Lily looked up at him. Those big brown eyes, still wet with tears. Are you going to change? Be good now? Dominic thought about it, about the empire he'd built on blood and fear. about the man he'd been for 20 years. "I'm trying," he said. "For you, for your mom, because I want to deserve being on your team." Lily nodded slowly, like she understood. A nurse appeared. "She's awake. You can see her now." Grace lay in the hospital bed, pale but alert. Tubes and monitors surrounded her. When she saw Lily, her eyes filled with tears. "Baby." Lily climbed onto the bed, careful of the wires, and buried herself in her mother's arms. "Mommy, you scared me so much." "I'm sorry, sweetheart." Grace kissed her hair. "I'm so sorry." Dominic stood in the doorway, uncertain. This was their moment. He didn't belong. He turned to leave. "Dominic." Grace's voice stopped him. "Stay." He faced her, waited. "You're Mafia," she said quietly. "Dangerous. You brought trouble into our lives." "I know." His voice was heavy. "I'm sorry, but you also saved my daughter." Grace's eyes held his. "You didn't run. You took a bullet." "No." Dominic shook his head. "You took the bullet for me." Grace smiled weakly. "I guess we're even now." Lily grabbed Dominic's hand and pulled him closer to the bed. "Mr. Dom, do you want to be on the team forever?" Dominic looked at Grace. Asking permission. Asking for something he didn't deserve but desperately wanted. Grace reached out and took his other hand. "The team needs a permanent member," she whispered. Dominic held on, one hand in Lily's, one hand in Grace's. The pink room in his memory didn't hurt anymore. It felt like a beginning. 1 year later, Chicago had changed. Or perhaps Dominic had changed, and the city simply followed. He handed most of his empire to Tony. The legitimate businesses remained. Real estate, consulting, construction, clean money for a clean future. Marcus Cole, the man who called himself brother for 8 years, received a life sentence. No parole. He would die behind bars, watching the world forget his name. Victor Santos faced trial for 17 counts of murder, racketeering, and conspiracy. His empire crumbled like dust in the wind. The darkness that had haunted Chicago's underworld began to fade, and in a quiet suburb north of the city, a new chapter began. The house sat on a tree-lined street. White fence, green lawn, a tire swing in the backyard. Nothing like Dominic's old penthouse. Nothing like the cold, empty spaces he had called home for years. This was warm. This was alive. Lily ran across the grass, chasing butterflies. 7 years old now. Taller, stronger. Her laughter rang through the afternoon air. Grace stood on the porch, watching her daughter play. A simple diamond ring sparkled on her left hand. Her shoulder had healed completely. Only a small scar remained, a reminder of the night she chose love over safety. Dominic stepped out beside her. He watched Lily spin in circles until she got dizzy and fell laughing onto the grass. "Lily," he called. "Want to see your new room?" She jumped up immediately. "Really? It's ready? Come see." They climbed the stairs together. Lily held his hand the entire way. Dominic stopped in front of a door at the end of the hallway. His heart pounded. He had painted this room once before, 2 years ago, for a daughter who never came home. Now, he pushed the door open. Soft pink walls, white curtains floating in the breeze, a bookshelf filled with stories, a bed covered in butterfly pillows. Lily gasped. "It's beautiful." She ran inside, touching everything. The desk, the lamp, the window seat overlooking the backyard. "This is really mine?" Dominic nodded. "This room has been waiting for you. For a very long time." Lily turned and threw her arms around him. "I love you, Daddy." The word hit him like lightning. "Daddy, what did you call me?" His voice cracked. Lily looked up, confused. "Daddy, you've been on my team forever. Mom says when someone stays with you forever, they're family. So you're my dad now." Dominic dropped to his knees, eye level with her. This brave, brilliant little girl who had walked up to a stranger and asked for a hug. "I love you too," he whispered. "My daughter." Grace appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. But she was smiling. She walked over and wrapped her arms around them both. 3 people, 1 embrace. Lily pulled out a piece of paper from her pocket. A new drawing. 3 figures under a big tree. A woman, a man, a little girl between them. Above their heads, in careful letters, "My family, not my team anymore. Family." Dominic remembered that evening in Lincoln Park, the sunset, the empty bench, the loneliest moment of his life, and a 6-year-old girl walking up to him with an impossible question. "Can you hug me?" 1 question, 1 hug, 1 chance, and everything changed. The loneliest man in Chicago found his family that day. Not through blood, not through obligation, but through hugs and homework and afternoons in the park. through a little girl brave enough to ask for what she needed, through a woman strong enough to save a stranger twice, through choosing to stay when leaving would have been easier. This story reminds us that family is not always about blood. Sometimes it is about who stays when life becomes difficult. A child can heal an adult just as an adult can protect a child. Love is not measured by money or power, but by presence, patience, and the courage to not walk away. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily stories. Like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. We would love to hear from you. How did this story make you feel? Have you ever experienced a moment when a stranger became family? Please share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Your stories matter to us, and we read every single one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of our community. We wish you good health, happiness, and peace in your life. May every day bring you closer to the people who make you feel like home. Goodbye for now, and we will see you in the next video.